If at first your job sucks,
Thank you.
Where is she?
I'm not allowed to accept it.
You're not allowed to accept tips, so you are allowed.
look, your job might suck. Maybe your boss forgets your name, maybe your coworkers eat your lunch, but imagine being an insurance agent in the Marvel universe, having to explain to someone for the 10,000th time that their policy doesn't cover acts of doom.
Calm down! You calm the fuck!
Today, I'm going to talk about the worst fear of our generation, jobs. The 10 worst jobs in all of the fiction and the positions that combine danger, futility, bureaucracy, or plain cosmic cruelty. So, let's begin. Would I work at Arkham Asylum? Well, let's see. Murderers, supervillains, bad security, frequent breakouts, low pay. Well, I'll take it. I'm already dumb enough to be a Arkham citizen and absorb or flex the aura farming of Batman, why the hell not? Arkham Asylum is the infamous psychiatric hospital in Gotham where Batman's most dangerous, unstable foes are committed. In Cosmic and Adaptation, it's not a quiet clinic, it's a high-security prison for psychopathic masterminds like the Joker, Scarecrow, and Two-Face. Inmates who regularly escape, manipulate the staff, or stage bloody uprising. Grant Morrison and Dave McKean's Arkham Asylum, a serious house on Sirius Earth, is one landmark text that shows the place as a claustrophobic, nightmarish institution where staff are outmatched by the patients. Pathology and theatrical violence. The staff face unpredictable violence, psychological torment, and the moral weight of treating people who constantly relapse into catastrophic behavior. Let's face it, being in a facility filled with the most deranged killers in a city of corruption and crime is suicidal. The patients are notorious murderers, someone who controls any plans, a clay shapeshifter, and a giant crocodile man. They aren't legally allowed to die and escape, frequently leaving high casualties on the way out. My question is, what is the appeal in working there? Are the salaries and benefits really that good that it's worth being permanently disfigured at best and dead at worst? I mean, I know some Batman stories regarding Arkham employees on how they're so short-staffed. You can guess why, and that they hire just about anyone who walks through the front door, and how they work overtime that their shift can go up to 22 hours. It's pretty much a hellish job with a high morality rate. Just imagine this work. They be like, sir, if you wish to make a claim on damages from a super fight, you have to know who it was. Telling me he looks like Robert Downey Jr. doesn't help. Or maybe it does. Clearly we're in a pickle with this one. While Thor's lighting a strike did the most of the damage to your home, which falls under your storm damage policy, it seems more like an act of God, which clearly isn't covered in this case. Agent Coulson, you are under investigation for life insurance fraud. Care to tell us about Tahiti? Has the insurance industry ever really been explained in the Marvel universe? Seems as though with the added risk of mutants and superpowered people everywhere breaking stuff all the time, that insurance rates would have to be through the roof. You know, there is a way you can make it work. This is how you get the Department of Damage Control, a joint venture between Stark Industries and the US government. On the face, they help pay for and repair damage dealt by battling superheroes, but on the back end, they make their money by exploiting the alien technology that they've been collecting and using since the Chitauri invasion. So, what do you think? The SCP Foundation is a collaborative fiction universe about a clandestine organization whose mission is secure, contain, protect. In short, find anomalous objects and entities and keep them from harming humanity. The Foundation entries describe containment protocols that are often dangerous, morally disturbing, or outright lethal. Personal log anomalies into cells, perform risky experiments, and sometimes die in containment breaches, because the SCP setting is intentionally modular and grim. Containment staff D-class personnel, research scientists, and field agents are often depicted as expendable or traumatized. The SCP canon itself is explicit that the Foundation is secretive, bureaucratic, and frequently handles phenomena behind human comprehension, which makes work there potentially lethal, morally coercive, and bureaucratically nightmarish. If your boss says, follow protocol, protocol might mean feed the SCP to the incinerator and then forget you ever saw it. That is a top-tier terrible fictional job. But some people want to see what's going on in the reality and are curious, so they might accept this offer. For example, me. I guess. Yet getting the job is not easy, it's hard. A normal person might just get the janitor job. Hell, even a janitor is a long shot, since you need to know how to clean off blood and properly dispose of bodies, and that's not mentioning any anomalous goop you need to worry about. Although I guess the last part isn't really a janitor's job. So if you were offered a job at the SCP Foundation, would you take it? What would you work as? Dark Souls lore centers on the first flame and the ritual of linking the fire, a process by which a powerful being sacrifices themselves, their soul or embers to rekindle the first flame and delay the coming age of fire. Over many eras, lords and champions link the flame and are consumed. The firekeepers tend bonfires and assist whoever attempts to link the flame. So the job here is either being the person who is forced to sacrifice themselves to preserve a dying cosmic order, or the firekeeper who tends these rituals and bonfires, watching the same ruin and sacrifice repeat endlessly. To understand how bad this job is, or you can also say again how bad this sacrifice is, if you want to consider it as a sacrifice, you have to look at Lothric, the crippled boy with his brother, which was forced to link the fire, but he didn't accept it. I said in one of my videos that this character is the most saddest character in the game. If you want to understand or comprehend how bad it is to be someone like him, you can go and watch that video. Just look at this guy's situation, you can understand the whole thing. But if it were up to me again, I don't know, I might accept the job. So what do you think? Do you want to become the chosen one, the ashen one, or the undead? Just imagine a job where your last day on the clock is also the day you become fuel. Now let's talk about the game of the year. Expedition 33 Expeditioners. These are volunteer parties sent from the island of Lumiere to the mainland each year to find and stop the first causing the Gamage, a yearly event that raises people above a moving age threshold by locating and confronting the paintress inside her monolith. Their work is exploration and combat, crossing hostile terrain, mapping unknown zones, scavenging scarce supplies, fighting monstrous guardians, and attempting to reach and destroy the supernatural source of the Gamage. These missions are extremely high risk and often catastrophic, and members routinely die or wiped out by the Gamage or fail to stop the cycle. Expeditions are under-resourced, face lethal enemies and reality warping forces, and suffer severe psychological and moral costs when survivors learn the deeper tragic truths behind the ritual. In short, it's a job built on sacrifice, repeated failure, and a near certainty of loss. But at the same time, you don't really have a choice. You are going to die sooner or later, but some people just want to save the world, I guess. So they go sooner, even before their age. But the question that I always ask to myself is, pretty early you learn that the first expedition, Expedition 0, is the only one from which any member returned to Lumiere. Every year, another expedition is launched, but nobody ever returns from them. There are a lot of expeditions that survive for pretty long, and at least some seem have the means to cross oceans at that point. I've not found any journal or information that indicates a particular reason why nobody returns. There's even Expedition 60, where someone attempted to return but simply ran out of time. But you get the thing, you're not going to survive if you choose to go there. But still, again, you maybe are curious, or you want to live like me, so I would gladly accept the offer to go to an expedition, but if it was my age, and it was my turn to die anyways. George Orwell's 1984 gives us Winston Smith, who works in the records department of the Ministry of Truth. His job? Rewrite past newspapers, alter photographs, and erase people from official history so that present party pronouncements always match the truth. The role is bureaucratic and coercive. It forces a person to live a life of practiced lying, to manufacture false memories, and to watch other people be turned into unpersons. The job is also psychologically terrible. Winston's takes are a kind of daily cognitive dissonance that corrodes identity and truth. Working there also means participating in large-scale state propaganda and rewriting reality for a living. That combination is nightmarish, but I'm not just talking about the Ministry of Truth. All of the ministries are like this. This one in particular, as demonstrated by Syme, anyone going on an intellectual project to put together old evidence would be doomed from the start as someone too curious to live. So what at all is the point in keeping those records and keeping people to amend something nobody will read? If you double think with me for a moment, it's a fact that nobody ever existed or exists who read and compiled old evidence. Why then the waste of effort on persons? The answer might be busy work, or it's meant for people who are dumber than Winston and Syme, who are curious but can't actually piece anything together, or it's another form of flex control. They do this kind of stuff even these days, the dystopian governments, if you can call them. They just flex about everything. Like, think about it. Winston isn't completely into doublethink until he's saved near the end. He knows in the back of his mind that what he is doing is false, but he even attempts to get a gold star for being good at it. He can't be the only one to know it's constant lying and lying till the truth becomes completely irrelevant. It generates a hopelessness to life as there is absolutely zero you can do to fight the system. He thinks the people will rise up to fight them. They can't possibly, since their living history is constantly erased. Not last week's history, but this morning's. They will never know heroes or dissidents or any other way of thinking. They'll never remember not being poor but being told they're rich. I'm not sure what's horrible though, knowing it and just accepting it, or being born into it and not knowing any better. So yeah, I mean, I didn't need to yap about it this much, but I am really interested in 1984. Aperture Science is Valve's fictional research corporation from Portal and Portal 2. The company runs the Enrichment Center and conducts non-stop human testing under the supervision of an AI that, among other things, killed most of the facility's inhabitants with neurotoxin in Portal's backhistory. Aperture Culture, founded by increasingly deranged Cave Johnson, treats human testing as business as usual and often coerces or use weak people for experiments. GLaDOS once says in the game that we do what we must because we can, which captures a corporation immoral drive to experiment because technology permits it. Employees and test subjects at Aperture face deception, lethal tests, and an AI that actively manipulates people. Whether you are in maintenance, a test technician, or an employee trying to keep the lights on, working there is almost guaranteed to be dangerous and ethically compromised. But how did Aperture stay working with 99% of employees dead? Aperture was already bankrupt by the time of the first game, and I'm pretty sure it's mentioned in the game that they have systems in place to make sure it can still properly function for thousands of years without humans, and a majority of that came from the cores. And if you ask if did nobody think to try and reach the people people who died. So if you didn't know, Portal takes place in the Half-Life universe. I believe it is implied that GLaDOS took over the facility very shortly before the events of Half-Life 1 happen. From that point on, the people outside Aperture are either fleeing from aliens dead or sent to one of the Combine cities. Combine being the main enemy in the Half-Life 2 games. There is a globe in Half-Life Alyx that seems to be showing that the US has either been wiped out or is inhabitable, so everyone has been moved to Europe. Charon is the ancient Greek freeman who transports the souls of the deceased across the river Styx and Acheron, but only those who received proper funeral rites and classically only for a coin, the ubul I think they call it, placed with the dead. Charon is somber, morose, and strictly transactional. He ferries souls for payment, demands proper rites, and refuses to carry those who cannot pay or whose burial rites were neglected. That makes his job uncompromising, lonely and inhabited by constant reminders of death and lost opportunity. There is dignity in the role, and it's sometimes depicted as a solemn duty, but the monotony of ferrying endless dead, plus the occasional soul who refuses to go, and the moral ambiguity about who gets passage, all of that makes Charon's role a haunting, melancholy candidate for the worst job. But again, the only difference between me and him is that I'm not a ferryman of the dead. And that's it. It's actually good, it's a good job because he gets paid for this kind of work. I don't, yet, I guess. I would definitely accept the job. What do you do? WALL-E stands for Waste Allocation Lead Lifter, Earth class. In Pixar's WALL-E, Earth became too polluted and uninhabitable. Humans lived on starliners, and millions of robots were left to clean up. By the time of the film, all but one WALL-E unit failed. The protagonist, designated WALL-E Unit 627, is still at work compacting trash, sorting waste, and stacking a skyscraper high towers of compressed rubbish. The canonical backstory explicitly shows that the robots were intended to clean Earth and that WALL-E's solitude and futility, working for centuries with no purpose behind compacting trash, is both tragic and Sisyphean. It's a job that combines monotony, environmental catastrophe, and the slow obsolescence. The film's official entries describe WALL-E's construct, mission, and the state of Earth. At the start of the movie anyway. WALL-E is more human than the humans. He works, he is curious, he does more than what he is assigned to do, and finds meaning in the things and even creatures around him, basically consciousness. Throughout the movie, he teaches others how to live, sometimes and inadvertently. At the end, when he is reset to defaults, he is surviving by doing his programmed routine, but for all intents and purposes, he's not alive until his memories are restored. The only thing worse than cleaning up a mess is cleaning up the whole world alone for 7 centuries. But this job would be the perfect job for Levi Ackerman from Attack on Titan, I guess. At the top of the list is Sisyphus, condemned by the gods to roll a massive boulder up a hill, only to have it tumble back down again each time he nears the top, for all eternity. This is classical punishment described in ancient sources and retold by philosophers like Albert Camus, I love this guy, who used Sisyphus as a metaphor for human absurdity. You should really go and read Albert Camus' books. The key facts are simple and canonical. Sisyphus cheated death, tricked the gods, and his punishment is ceaseless. Futile labor. That combination, endless physical toil with no completion, inescapable repetition, and no finality, arguably makes it the single worst job you can imagine in fiction. It's the archetype of futility. If you want a definition of Sisyphean task, look no further, it comes right from the myth. But what happens if Sisyphus just stops? It's an unsatisfying answer, but nothing. Because it's irrelevant. Ancient mythology isn't like modern world building with consistent rules. Stories just exist in a vacuum, told and retold and reshaped by the retellers to convey a moral or message. Sisyphus won't stop because that's not what Sisyphus does in the stories. Maybe he can't, maybe he's divinely compelled to do it forever and ever. Maybe he was tricked into believing it's possible to complete his task, or even continues trying out of the sunk cost fallacy. Maybe he's threatened into continuing by something else, but ultimately Sisyphus exists to say something. Maybe one of his saying is don't mess with the gods, not to tell a coherent narrative. For what it's worth, Ovid wrote of a time Sisyphus was so taken by a song, he briefly stopped and sat on a rock. Nothing happened. Then he resumed pushing once he composed himself. So yeah, maybe we say that we will not ever accept the job of Sisyphus, but we're basically doing it every day. I might even say that. I don't want to really get into it, I'm not a philosopher, but if you get what this character is telling us, or what Albert Camus said, you just get it, I guess. So that was it. Some of these jobs are outright deadly, some are not, some are existentially cruel. So which one do you think is the worst? And are there fictional jobs I missed? So yeah, thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and until next time, may the flames guide you away.